All right, we are back. It's another week, another Ask Me Anything happy hour. We got the whole crew here. We got 6 of us ready and able to answer your questions. Well, at least someone should be able to answer your questions. So get your questions ready. We got a couple pre-submitted. We'll be right back after this. Gosh, we are back. Go around, kind of give everybody just a chance to tell you who they are, who's going to be answering your questions, and all of you can start thinking of, how do I be my own bank? What does it mean? What is this? What is that? All right, Gabby, kick it off.
I always manage to go first on these things. Gabby, I'm one of the money mentors. Happy to be here. Always happy to answer questions. I haven't been as much involved in the Facebook group as I used to, but I still kind of mosey on in there and collect questions from there too, just as a little bit of ammo. So if you do have questions besides the ones today, that's a really great place to have ask questions in there. But yeah, happy to help and always here.
All right, Craig.
All right, going down the line, Craig Yenny here. Hey, everybody. So also one of the money mentors on the team, and if you've been around the campfire, you've heard people pick on me about being Mr. Analytical and having spreadsheets, but that's how I run my life. Spreadsheets answer everything for me. So anyway, glad you're here. Look forward to answering your questions.
Hey, Craig, we got some bad feedback coming in from somewhere. So it almost sounds like it might be on yours because you were a bit choppy. So just check your tech and we'll move on to Hannah.
Yeah. Hey, y'all. So my name's Hannah, and some of y'all may know my father. His name is Brent Kessler, but I'm Hannah Kessler. I'm cooler than my dad, in my opinion. But I live down here in Daytona Beach, Florida. I'm originally from Kansas City. A little update for the group, y'all. Okay, get this. I just used my policies, and I just placed my order for my new Ford Bronco Limited Heritage Edition. They're only making 1,900 of these vehicles, and I swooped one. So I'm excited about that.
Your dad was telling me about that last night. Congratulations. That's definitely a rare bird right there.
Yeah, so excited.
Super cool. I want to see pictures. I just asked you about that. You said 3 to 4 months. You were waiting to hear to introduce that piece of awesome information. Congrats. I'm Jason Sipple. I'm not too far. I'm just a stone throw away from Hannah over in Orlando. Actually, a COE, OCOEE. But nobody can say that, so just go with the right. So, just living the dream down here. Money Jedi Master, even though the paintings are not hung up yet. I'm looking at them over here, but I'll get them back up on the wall at some point.
It's only been a month. I mean, why rush?
That's been longer than that, man. Thank you for being generous.
Because he was picking on me for only having
It's
one.
because I want it to be frame right, Chris. I'm a little bit of a perfectionist. I don't want to tell anybody that, but eventually, get the picture, the BYOB sign in the middle too, and all that kind of stuff. Gotta look right.
I'm Joe. I'm a money mentor. I'm, as underneath my name says, Mr. HELOC, Mr. Forklift, and Mr. You name it, and I'll do it. So I guess that sums it all up. Also
Which house are you in today? One of the many.
The house?
Which house are you in?
This is the new one. I'm in the dining room.
That's the new
house. We just closed on it today, so we were just here just taking a peek, and I brought my iPad because I can do anything on the move.
All right.
It's that new house echo that you hear.
Hello.
Joe.
Awesome. All right, Gabby, let's dive right into the pre-submitted questions as we build the audience. We got 35 people, so I'm sure the questions will start coming in.
Yeah, we can start with Eric. He said, we've got this question a couple of different ways, but he said, what's the best and most professional way to learn private lending when you have less than $7,000 to loan?
Oh, $7,000 to loan. Probably transactional financing. So there's a way where you could lend $7,000. Let's just say somebody's buying a rental and they need a deposit. Okay, they got to come up with the escrow deposit. Maybe it's 20%. You'd have to find probably a smaller one. You could do transactional funding with that $7,000 and just lend that until the deal closes. I don't do that. I find that to me just has a lot of room for error, but there's a lot of people successfully doing it. If you got $7,000, I would definitely recommend connecting with Kevin Shortell and getting into notes investing, because that's a great way to lend money and do it in smaller denominations. So Kevin Shortell, I don't have his link, but we could get it to you, and that would be a good way. Does anyone else have any suggestions for $7,000?
I mean, at the time of those I bonds, I mean, I put 10 into those I bonds at the time when I didn't have enough to do private lending. I got something. I don't know if I should say this, but I'm going to say it anyways. Actually, I got something set up with Dad, so this is something really cool if you kind of want to talk to somebody in your family. But I have it set up with Pops that he, for all of his children, they say, "Hey, just give me your money. Let me hold on to your money, and I'll pay you 10% on the money." So I'll sometimes do that. I'll every month, maybe I'll give Dad about 5,000 or so, and just kind of rack it up over there, and he pays me 10% on that. But then obviously what he's doing is he's taking that money and lending it out in deals that are greater than 10%. So he doesn't care to pay me the 10. But just an idea for, I don't know, some family members out there, if you want to start doing something for your children.
And then Gabby, what do you think the best answer is? Or does anyone want to hit the best answer for $7,000? Because I love what Eve said.
Yeah, actually, here's a hint up on the screen.
Right there. Yes. Get yourself a ticket to Raleigh, North Carolina for Money Tank so you can come out and meet all the players, pool your money with some of the bigger players, and make a much bigger return than the things we just said. So that would be the suggestion. It's going to cost you about $300 plus a plane ticket to get to Raleigh, North Carolina, August 4th and 5th. And you definitely should do that. That's step number one.
Or a fun road trip.
That's true. That's true.
So, Chris, is my audio any better?
Yes.
All right. So
I hear echoing from Chris too. I'm hearing echoing all over. Is it?
Yeah, it's an echoey day.
Well, it may not be me, but I think last week we had this similar question, and Stephen Nagy had a pretty decent response, which was, if you don't have a lot of resource right now, go out and learn how to do things like wholesaling, or use some of that money to get trained in those types of activities. So find other ways to make more money, right? So that might be another approach.
Right. And some good options.
Actually, I really like that answer, Craig. That's a really good one. Go out there and find mentorships or things that you've been looking at for a while, and just buy one of the mentorship packages. Chris, you tell that story all the time about how you were dead broke, but you put it all on the credit card and you just went because you got the free iPod.
Well, it's just like last week. Like, a lot of people don't know this. I got an opportunity to fly to California, all on my expense, to go on a radio show that I really knew nothing about, but I knew it was, the something about real estate, but then it was CNBC. Have no idea if I'm going to get anything from it, but I booked a flight right there, literally a couple days out. Gabby was traveling, so I just did it myself. I should pat myself on the back. I can't believe I even pulled it off. But I bought a plane ticket, and I flew to California and did the radio show, surfed, slept, got back on a plane the next morning, and flew home. Like, how many of you would do that for an opportunity? And back when I first began, I dropped $5,000 to go to a mastermind, not knowing the results, not even knowing where I was at, and definitely not having $5,000. So sometimes you just, people make so many excuses as to why they can't do this, why they didn't buy a ticket for Money Tank, but they're always the ones after the event. Oh, I should have, I could have, I would have. Well, then why didn't you? Stop making excuses in your life and just start getting shit done. That's how you move forward. That's how you make more money. And that's how you get around the people that think the way you want to be thinking and make the money that you want to be making. But if you just sit around making excuses, well, that's what the rest of your life's going to look like, making excuses as to why you're not where you are. And then eventually making excuses leads to pointing fingers. And that, I'm not even going to go down that rabbit hole.
Wait, I just shared something on Facebook today. If you got time to complain, you got time to change.
I like it.
If you don't change it, you choose it.
That's it.
Yeah. Okay, I don't know if Shauna's if Shauna's in the audience here in the chat, but Shauna, this might be a you question if you're there. She said, let's see, Parker's asking, is there still a payment plan for the Vegas experience, and what can I expect from those 2.5 days? This would be their first experience mastermind.
Oh, the experience. Gosh. You can expect to build relationships that you'll keep probably for the better part of your life. You can expect to make memories by doing experiences with really cool people that you'll never probably duplicate. I can tell you that firsthand, no ifs, ands, or buts. Every experience event we've done, we have done things that people will remember the rest of their lives, talk about the rest of their lives, and built relationships that will continue paying dividends for a very long period of time. So what do you get when you come to the experience? How about I just tell you what you don't get? Because that's much easier. You're not going to sit in some conference room that's freezing cold so that you stay awake listening to speaker after speaker after speaker trying to sell you something. That you're not going to get. What you're also not going to get is you're not going to get a mastermind where you have a whole bunch of time just to sit around and ponder and wonder who you should be talking to. You're going to be forced, not forced, that's the wrong word, but you're going to be put into situations where you're going to have to communicate and talk to people, and you're going to want to, because you're going to be partaking in experiences and various experiences over 3 days. We've got a really special thing that I don't have it inked yet, but it should be done probably this week that we're going to be doing. I don't know where we're going to fit it, but it's something that wasn't expected that I'm spending, oh gosh, probably about $4,500 just so everybody at the experience can experience this thing that I got to experience. I'm saying experience too many times, but in Montana, and it's something all of you need to go through. It was unbelievable, and that's something I'm wrapping up. So what are you going to get by coming? Stop asking that question and start asking, what do you have to lose for coming out and actually experiencing this with these amazing 25 people?
Yeah. Where do I sign? That's the right question.
Yeah. No reason. People always want to know, well, what is it going to be? What am I going to do? What's going to happen from 1 to 2 o'clock and 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock? And is there going to be a lunch break from 3 to 4? You're like, no, just show up. I mean, everything's online. We can put the link up, but everything's online so that you'll know exactly what the agenda is. But you're just going to have fun and you're going to make lasting memories.
Yeah, I put the. Oh, go ahead, Jason. What'd you say?
No, I was saying you're going to build relationships. I mean, some of those lasting memories could be a partnership for life. You never know who you're going to meet, and if you're putting yourself in proximity to successful people, it's going to leave clues. It's going to help you lead. And then, like Chris just said, if you're someone, I think it was funny, Chris, what you said. If you're someone who wants to know, like, when's lunch, what should I bring, what should I wear, this and that, like your ability to be comfortable being uncomfortable is going to be a direct reflection to how you feel about your life, the quality of your life, right? It's said a little differently. I've heard other people say it, but it's just really embrace discomfort, because that's where your growth is going to be. If it makes you uncomfortable, it scares you a little bit, that's a good thing.
Yeah, that's when you know it's right.
Yeah, and you'll get a lot of those answers on the way too. Shauna's really thorough, and she sends out a lot of notice, and here's what you can expect to wear. Here's the weather that we have for the upcoming week. Here's the activity and what you need to prepare if you want to do that one. So you'll be well prepared. It is just a matter of you getting out of your own head and taking that first step forward. And then we watch out for our own there. So if there's ever something that you need when you're there and you don't have, we always make sure everybody has what they need. So so it's just an opportunity for expansion and growth.
Love that.
Okay, I guess we'll jump to Dexter's question. He said he heard this on WTF today. If you're a minor who's working and have your own money coming in, both parents are broke and do not have life insurance, would that minor be able to get his or her own policy?
Well, you got to be 18. The only thing is that you got to be 18 in order to own and fund your own policy. But other than that, yeah. I don't know. Does that help? I mean, am I answering that question, or what more can I give?
It's great. I think it's great.
What was the context? That's what I want to know. What was the context on WTF? Like, Chris, you were there, I think, most likely, right?
When, today?
Isn't that your show? Yeah. Is it
WTF? There.
That's funny.
Well, we were talking about there was a 16-year-old. So I guess, yeah, that is a 16-year-old. That's considered a minor, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Dexter, you got me. Like I was just so excited that a 16-year-old wanted to start his own policy. I mean, the 16-year-old will need the parents to help him with that. That's all.
Or, I mean, they could just practice having their policy, just open up that segregated checking account, and they could practice it if the parents aren't willing to help. That's also an option. And then when they're 18, use that money and then keep trucking along like how they are with that forced savings that they're doing.
Dexter's promising love too. He's promising love.
I was just so blown away that I think a 16-year-old wanted to be his own bank, and that I literally didn't even really think about those little things. I mean, let's dive in and let's just figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, to Dexter's point, think, Chris, what happened on the last the Cancun trip? I mean, Tiffany and Gino got engaged.
Oh my goodness, yeah, that was insane.
I mean, love happens on the experience trips.
For sure. Yeah, there you go. So what else can you experience? Well, sometimes people get married because it's just such an experience.
Yeah, this Vegas one should be a little different than all the other ones that we've done, but just as fun. Here we go.
There you go, Tiffany.
Here she is. My first experience scared the hell out of me, but she met Craig and John at the airport, which in turn introduced me to others. Now we have an accountability group. Yeah, and Tiffany, like, she comes to all of our stuff, and she's very involved, and she's very much one of our treasures that we have on all the time.
100%.
It was fun. We ended up coordinating rides from the airport out to Sundance, and so it was kind of interesting going up to Tiffany, like, are you Tiffany? Are you Craig? Anyway, Tiffany and Gino are awesome people. Glad to have met them.
Yeah. I remember I walked by her. I was passing her and she's like, I got engaged. We sat next to her all dinner, and then it must have happened between dinner and then when we passed her on the walkway, and she's like, look, I'm like, I just saw you like an hour ago. So it was kind of funny, but it was a great place to do something like that. Oh, Eve says she wouldn't trust her parents, so if she was a minor, she'd save up for a dump-in.
There you go. Yeah, you have to trust your parents, that's for sure.
Well, here's what Dad always says. He says you never know who you're going to meet or the relationships that you're going to cultivate when you go to events like that. You could go to, I mean, it's just us as being professional speakers, Chris. You never know who's going to be in the audience, who's going to be your diamond star person that's really going to be the home run hitter, right? You just go and you just hope for the best, and you just put the positive energy and out there, and then hopefully it'll come back to you. So I think it's the same thing with the masterminds. I'll even share my experience. I was at the Kelly Cardenas Women's Hideout event. I had no idea what to experience or what to expect at that thing. I just got invited because Debbie Anderson says, hey, Hannah, we're putting this on. I want you to be there because I like you and I like hanging out with you. And to be honest with you, I already traveled too much. So it really wasn't the first thing on my mind to say, oh my gosh, all right, let's go to this women's event. But I'm very glad that I did, because I learned a lot about myself, and I think I really made relationships that are going to last me my whole entire lifetime. But
yeah, so wherever that person is that was asking about the experience, just read the comments coming in. I mean, we don't have to tell you what you're gonna get there. I mean, just read some of the things you're hearing.
Yeah, and Shauna did tell me, she said the ForPay should be available until the 20th of this month. So we've got 8 days.
Yep, and go. 8 days. That's all that there is left till. Oh my gosh.
The ForPay, yeah.
We're already motoring through quarter 3.
Just insane. Just insane.
What else we got?
Hey guys. Hi. We need some questions.
Yeah, we do need some questions.
Well, while we're waiting, any of you money mentors had any interesting situations happen this week? Like any interesting questions from clients or anything you want to talk
Jason,
about?
You're a weird thing magnet, seems like. You too, Craig.
Jason had some really big clients this week.
Yeah, I actually, yeah, one of the clients I spoke with earlier today, it was so to speak more about personal development, right? That one question lasted, thank you for that first question. It's lasted us, already almost 24 minutes, right? Or 20 minutes of this. But the guy spoke to today, just the way he languaged his life, the way he spoke about, like, he literally lends people money all the time, like big sums of money to like car dealerships and things. So he does a lot of the things that's going on in Private Money Club, right? He just finds a way to add value to people in a massive way. And it was kind of, we end up somehow circling back to like other people he's spoken to and Tony Robbins' world a little bit. And he actually started listening to Tony Robbins on audio when he was like 16. He's 40 now. And just like his mindset for being a I think he was worth like $20 million. Right. And he was just super down to earth, super humble, looking at, he's setting up a policy for his daughter to teach his 13-year-old daughter this. Just really, it's really rewarding to have someone like that and just moving through and like having a real conversation with them, having them really care, having them really looking for the system. Because a lot of times when you speak with people at certain levels of wealth, it's just like, where's the numbers? Where's this? Where's that? Right. It's very much like, hey, I want to talk to the next thing. It's very entitled, but he was very like, okay, tell me what the process is. I love what I see on Chris's page and the videos. I've watched like 100 videos. So that was an awesome experience. So
Wow, that's so cool.
Let me play the devil's advocate for a second. I've been getting a lot of people this week who just want to see numbers and illustrations. So that's been a little disheartening, but it's okay. I do provide sometimes those illustrations to them, but it just kind of hurts my heart a little bit because it's all they think about the numbers, the product, and are not focused on the process of banking. But other than that,
them too after they do the application.
Yeah, let me ask you a question on that. Are they bigger clients that are asking you for that, or are they like just smaller policies?
a mix, both, which is interesting because I do agree with you. Most of the time, right, it's the folks who are just wanting to put in like 200 a month that want to see the numbers, and I get it because maybe they got a smaller budget and they want to see what this is going to do for them. But it's actually been kind of a mix of the both. And now I think because of my higher end people, I think it's because they're older and it's that mentality.
I don't know. I think it could just be a lot of the content that's being put out there. There's more and more awareness of what we do. And I think a lot of the awareness, unfortunately, is all product specific because that's just what a lot of people are trying to do. They're trying to sell a product because that's how they get paid, or we're teaching a process. So I think you're kind of fighting an uphill battle because you're going against the masses, in trying to say, hey, it's about the process, which that's what we teach. But they only hear about the product because that's all that's being talked about and I watch other people's YouTube channels. I mean, it's all product specific. We're one of the rare ones speaking the process. So I think you just got to kind of go with the flow on that. I get it a lot too. I mean, I only primarily, I'm working with like the larger case designs nowadays, but they all want to, the larger clients all want to see, policy designs, but the policy design isn't the first thing. They understand the process first. And then they're just like, okay, well, when they're at the point where they're ready to go, they just are like, all right, well, can you send me over the numbers we discussed? And I do. And like, I will say Sandra today freaking hit a home run with a big client of mine. We put together a plan design. It's insane. It's insane. We had to switch it up because it was on the husband and we changed it up to be on the spouse, the wife, because she was a little younger. Crushed it.
Oh, I know which one you're talking about. There you go.
Crushed it.
That's good to hear.
Chris, let me tell you this. This was interesting, and sorry to put this. I'm not saying names or anything, but I'm going to put this person on blast for a second. They wanted to see. They've been following you. I spoke with them. They wanted to see an illustration, so I said, all right. So I showed them a One America illustration. They said, well, hey, I want to see something more name brand. Do you have like a Mass Mutual or something that you can show me so I can compare these illustrations? I thought that was very interesting. I've never had somebody come to me and ask for something like that.
One America is pretty main, they're a big company. You just don't hear about them because they don't spend they're not dividend clipping with all the ads so that you can watch them, on every TV station like Mass. But Mass has been one of the most difficult companies for us to work with, but they've got the name because they spend all their money on the marketing.
I was just thinking that when you look at companies like State Farm, Mass, and they're spending so much money on ads, you'd rather work with a company that had more stability, didn't spend the money, and was returning it to you.
Yeah, dividend
as a partner, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, the dividend clippers are the ones you got to be careful of. And the other thing too, like, no disrespect to Mass, I have Mass policies. I think Mass is a great company. I think their policies are really good. But one thing I will bitch about with Mass is the fact that they declare, they show one of the highest dividends out there, which dividends, just so when we talk, folks, we break down the dividend. We break it down to the guaranteed interest rate and the dividend. So let's just say it's 3% guarantee, 3% dividend. But really, the dividend crediting rate that they call it is 6. Mass, when they say 6%, you're not actually getting 6. Okay, where One America and Lafayette, like, what they're putting out there is what you're actually getting. So you got to be careful sometimes with the way that things are portrayed, because it's not always what you think. And I never knew that, but 6% is like, we used to talk heavily about Mass's 6, and then I learned it's not a true 6 that's being credited to your accounts. And I'm like, well, that's tricky, and then they have a really fancy way of explaining it, a way of explaining it that I can't explain to a client in a way that they'd understand it. And I don't like that. I just like, how much is the client going to get? Boom, this is it. Great. Lafayette and One America both do that, and that I got a lot of respect for that, even though it's less than Mass's dividend.
I agree. Thanks for letting me rant. We're all just by ourselves all day, sitting in the office, and
Yeah, no, this is already lifted. Yeah, I mean, other than walking to the mailbox, the drop stuff in the mailbox, and getting wrestled with Connor being around all day. No camp this week, right? So I'm like, Dad's working. I was like, okay, let's wrestle. Let's have fun.
One of the other interesting ones, Hannah, I think you were on this one, is that gentleman that didn't like the illustration that was created for him, and then tried saying, hey, I want a 7-pay, I want it done this way, I want a 7-pay with this much death benefit. And then you guys said, I don't want to deal with this person. And I said, listen, I'm happy to help, but then I put my restrictions, like, you have to listen to me, you have to take my advice. This is what I do every day, day in and day out. And I can't remember exactly how I put it. And like, you guys, I know everybody on our team that read the email was like, oh, even Brent was like, oh, you really should work with Chris. The guy still hasn't responded. So he didn't like being told that he didn't know jack shit about the infinite banking concept. And I called him out on it. I said, based on what you just said means you know nothing about the infinite banking concept. So if you want to buy and I even said this, I said, if you want to buy a product, you got to go somewhere else. If you want to learn how this actually works and become wealthy, then we'll help you. And he didn't respond. So obviously he just wanted to play smart guy.
Dude, I love that you did that here and had that conversation with us. Because listen, people, there's always multiple things going on at the same time, right? That's almost a training to anyone listening, right? Hannah was having the conversation about difficult clients. I had a fun day one day this week where everyone was like 19, 21, and 23, right? When we're usually talking to people in their 30s, 40s, 50s, maybe even sometimes early 60s, right? So that was an interesting day. And I would say, what you just said, Chris, is what we, like you said, identifying who our partners are, who the people that are going to belong in our ecosystem. If we can't disrupt the pattern that's broken, then hopefully another time they'll be around and they'll get it disrupted, or they'll just keep going their merry way and they're just not our partners. They're just not someone that's going to be walking the same path.
I agree.
So I know Brent's heart is so big. He wants to, help every single person on the face of the earth. And sometimes, Brent, I'm like, you can lead their head. You could lead them to the water. You can stick their head in the water, but you can't make them drink, Brent. You might drown them. It's not always going to work. So we do our best, though. We want to save all you.
See, and that's the thing. When I was younger, you go to Dad because Dad always says yes.
That makes sense.
And then somebody was asking about, can this be done outside the U.S.? I did a video on that, and lo and behold, I can't say the person's name. I wouldn't even know how to say that. It's a different language, but I'm glad that you watched that video. And if you really study that video, although you can't use the policy to do the infinite banking concept, if you just follow that process, you will get your mother out of debt and be able to, or I think I read that right. You'll be able to help your mother in whatever it is you're trying to do. Yeah,
that's a great video. I send that out probably once a week when someone books overseas, right? And they're not based in the US and they can't be here to practice the infinite banking that we help with. So
yeah, that's like one of those videos where like it's not a video that will ever yield us a return or make us money, but it's a video that is very helpful for people that need that help, because again, it just comes back to the process is the single most important thing. And I demonstrated this. I don't remember what training I did it on, but I literally did the entire process over and over and over again. And I just kept saying, oh, it was on a training I did for Shonda Sumter. She had people on there that couldn't afford to put 10 times their age in. And I said, forget about the policy. Forget about the policy. Let me teach you the process. That's the single most important thing. Use the process to get yourself out of this situation. And I did it at like $50 a month because that's all they could save. And I'm like, doing this and then the recycle recapture, and the math will always work the same. It will work. So for that individual that watched that video, the process does work and it's helping them right now. And it's not always about like, yes, the policy in the States and in Canada makes a massive difference. I mean, obviously compound interest is just wildly and powerful, especially when it's uninterrupted, but it's the process. So even without the policy, it still works. It just doesn't work as fast.
Okay. Hannah, did you get flowers? Was that what that was?
I got flowers. That's right
now.
Knock on my door. I got secret admirers. All right, just send me an email if you ever want to send me flowers. Love flowers.
Well, I love flowers too. Send me flowers, but yeah, maybe
So
don't send me flowers. That probably won't be a good
like
day.
real time.
Joe, you're on mute.
I
Doing a
said
great
I
job
like money.
smiling,
Send me $100 bills.
Send me a bouquet of dollar bills.
I had a feeling you were going to say that.
A pound of 50s.
And you can put it into a flower arrangement if you'd like.
That would look beautiful. A nice bouquet.
Maybe a little bit of chocolate in the middle. Yeah.
They also make bacon into the shape of flowers. They have like bacon bouquets. I thought that was the most ridiculous thing ever.
Well, that just turned Chris right away. See?
I
Now, in
know.
my world, bacon.
To me, there's
not
nothing
one
more
thing that
repulsive
bacon
than
cannot be
pork.
put on.
Okay,
And then,
Drew.
yeah. Let me answer that. So I actually, yes, not yet. I got the SEO guys working on that. So fingers crossed. I just don't know that whole world. But the reason being is because we got over 1,000 subscribers on YouTube now on the Money Multiplier channel. Also, if you haven't heard as well, I also have my vlog channel where you can get, I just do personal stuff on that channel. If you just look up my first and last name, Hannah Kessler, spelled the same way forwards and backwards, Hannah Kessler with one S on YouTube, you can stay up to date on my vlogs and what I'm doing on my personal side. Because actually, Naugle, for the Raleigh event, I'm going to be taking the van out there. So the plan is to take the van to Raleigh. Then from Raleigh, I'll go west because we got the AUL symposium. And then I got a birthday party in Lake Michigan. So I was going to kind of go out for a little bit.
That's awesome.
With Daisy.
With Daisy, yeah.
Okay, I guess Drew wants to catch up with everybody while he's on. So he's asking Joe if you got his email he sent.
Yeah, I'll catch them by the end of the week, tomorrow or Friday.
I don't fully understand the one question from Facebook user. I've worked for about 7 different insurance companies, not much advertising to speak of, training in-house for agents, but not outside advertising. I think I'd need a little more clarity. I think maybe what they're saying is what I talk about all the time is, agents are not taught this. They're never going to be taught this. You're not going to be shown the infinite banking concept and shown the concept or taught how to design policies this way for your clients, because it takes money out of your pocket, and then it takes money out of your agency's pocket because you're designing it to reduce your commission. And that means your clients actually get more money and you get less. So, you got to make a decision. Is it for you, or are you, the insurance company or the financial company you're working for? Yes, I know you're working for them, but really who at the end of the day do you want to serve? And it should be the client. And that's why they won't teach it. They never did me. 16 years, never once was I shown the infinite banking concept, or even shown that you could do what we do with a whole life policy. So I guess that's the only reference I can give to that question.
Okay.
Let's start rapid firing them, if that's okay.
Yeah. Brian in Michigan, that's what he said. He's from Michigan too. He's interested in a policy. Is $500 a month the minimum?
Oh,
It depends on how old you are, Brian. The minimum is 10 times your age. So I'm 45. So my minimum would be $450 a month. But don't try to do the minimum, but just know that's the minimum. I mean, how I always tell people is just put into the policy what it is you're saving now. So how much are you saving in the bank? How much are you saving in a 401k? How much are you saving total? Change where your savings goes.
Joe
too,
died a little inside.
I heard that too.
say-
I didn't know. I just heard something.
you don't know the concept. Go read the book again. Go watch more videos.
Well, and
Yeah,
here's
and
the
Brian,
thing,
I would
I think Brian's just asking, he's just asking, is 500 a minimum? He's not saying, I want to put the minimum in. He's somewhere, somehow he heard that 500 could be the minimum. So I don't think it's a question like you think, Joe. I think he's just probing, just saying, is 500 the minimum? I think what Brian should be asking is what the maximum is. But that's a learning curve. He's got it.
It's just mindset. It's just mindset. And actually, because John asked this question too. So I have two things I just want to discuss. Number one, the minimum I always say is 10 times the age rule, right? So just like how Chris said, Chris is 45. So $450 a month is that minimum. But that's not the absolute minimum. If Chris came into a tough time and he started that policy at $450 a month, he could always reduce down the premiums if need be, anywhere from 60 to 90%. So that's what we strive for, right? The 10 times the age, but that's not even the minimum itself either.
I think the other ingredient I would talk to Brian about is just the use of what are you trying to do with infinite banking, because the minimum may not get you what you want to get done anyway. If you're trying to knock down $80,000 of debt at $300 a month, that's going to take a really long time. So we should probably have a discussion about what you're trying to do with infinite banking, and then we can figure out if that number even makes sense.
I have a phone call for those two guys who wanted to know the minimum. So a guy calls me up and he says, I just bought a trailer. I want to pay off the trailer and I want to use my infinite banking concept. I said, awesome, perfect. That's what we got to do. How much is the payment on the trailer a month? He said, 500. I said, how much are you putting into your banking policy every month? He says, 300. Well, I'm not a magician. So
we can't add magician to your title at the bottom.
I says, okay, you need another policy. There you go. So, and that's where we asked the question, what's the maximum, what's the minimum? He was making over $100,000 a year and started off with $300 a month. So, and then he wants to put a $500 payment into it. Well, obviously that doesn't work. So.
I love this. This is the person that, I don't know how to say the name, but was talking about his mom and the infinite banking in another country. Debt plus Visa debt plus another debt is calculated 18.6% yearly total overall cost. And now she will transfer that same amount back to her policy. That is the infinite banking concept right there. So folks, if you can read between the lines on that person watched the video, understood the concept, forget about the product, understood the concept, and understand 18.6% is a hell of a lot of money to make, and they're making it risk-free, and all they had to do is take back the money they were giving away.
Powerful.
Thing, Chris, we don't talk about it enough. I know I've said that a few times lately, and I say it a lot in my phone calls, but it's the principal and the interest, right? Like when someone looks at like, hey, I'm going to recapture $535, on the $18,000 I owe for a car, right? I owe it for 36 more months. And it's not the 3.5% is not a huge interest, but it is the volume of interest that gets you, because you're paying a lot more than 3.5. But when you're paying that back, so say it's $50 a month or whatever towards interest, but you're getting all $535 back, right? That's going back into your account and you keep all the money and the thing.
Correct.
So it is the principal and the interest, and it's just a way to pay yourself
I've been
first.
doing a lot of trainings dissecting the three different interests that we're talking about, because people get confused when we say the word interest. They don't know which one we're talking about. So I've been dissecting them. There's the guaranteed interest the insurance company pays you. There's the interest the insurance company charges you on the loan, and the interest that you're recapturing or earning with your money going to work. So I think sometimes it's just a matter of just figuring out which interest we're talking about. But yes, you're correct.
Okay, Brian's got another question. He said he got a new job. Should he roll his old 401k into a policy?
No, I think the old 401k should roll into a self-directed IRA and not pay the taxes on it. But it depends on the amount of the old 401k. If the old 401k is small, then definitely. I mean, but if the old 401k is a bigger amount, and if you took it all, the taxes are going to put you into a higher tax bracket or be pretty significant, then definitely don't do that.
Eve gets the gold star today. She's got all these answers going on.
I was going to ask, is Eve like a member of the Money Multiplier that I don't know about, or Money School? Like,
She's got a few policies. Eve's awesome.
She's rocking it.
She's been doing this for a while.
That's so funny. She has the answer before we even say it.
Eve, I noticed. We all noticed. I noticed your great answers today.
Hey, let me chime in on that question real quick, because I have a friend. She's my best girlfriend. I'm going to be bridesmaid in her wedding later on this year. She lives over in Orlando, but, she works for Advent Health, so they're matching her in the 401k that she has. So what she's doing is she's putting up to those matches that she's getting over there, but then everything else she's funneling over into the policy. She's not contributing any more to the match. I always tell Joy, oh, sorry, I said her name. I don't think she cares, but I always tell her, I say, hey, if the principal's not guaranteed, I don't know how the match can be guaranteed, but keep doing you, boo, keep doing your thing. And I mean, she's 30 years old, right? So I mean, she's locking up that money for the next until she's 59 and a half, So I'll tell you, my parents in my life, mom wasn't working because she had a 401k. She was working for the government. She was working for the Navy. She was a nuclear engineer in her past lifetime. And mom, once they have been practicing this concept for 2 years, mom just totally ripped off the Band-Aid, took all the money out of her 401k, closed out that account, and now they're only doing the policies. So, I mean, it just really depends on where you're at in your lifetime. But I can tell you from the Kessler family side, we have no qualified plans. I don't participate in any crypto, stocks, bonds, or anything like that. It's real estate, and the policies is really what we're doing over here. So if that helps at all, I don't know. I'm just giving y'all information.
Options. People should have options. Okay, David, another 401k related question. He has a 401k from prior employers with Merrill of $2,200. What is recommended action to get these funds? Simply pay the tax and close, or is it a better choice? I guess the answer to your question is up to you.
I mean, I don't know. A small amount like $2,200, I'd probably just rip the Band-Aid off and be done with it and get that money working. It depends on how old David is. There's a lot of factors, but small amounts like that, I mean, gosh, it's hard to. Because what are you going to do with that? If you roll that to a self-directed IRA, you're not going to get it to work. I'd tell you, Pete, I'd be like, just take it and pay off a debt with it and then recapture the debt. I mean, just pay the taxes and penalties. It's in a small amount like that. And I got to be careful saying that because, somebody does that, their CPA and their advisor comes to them and is like, I can't believe he told you to do that. Like, you should sue him. And they'd win. If David, did take that money and wanted to sue me, he'd win in court. Because, there's no substantiation as to why David should pay the taxes and the penalties instead of just leaving it there. Because the law doesn't use logic, and most CPAs and advisors don't use any kind of logic at all. Because the logic to me would be if you got $2,200, even after taxes, like you still $1,700. And if you had a $1,700 credit card paying 20%, you pay the credit card off, you recapture the payments you were making to the credit card. That's like making 17 to 20%. Like, I don't know.
Well, at the end of the day, go read the book, The 501k Plan. That is literally the inventor of the 401k who says, hey, do not put your money into this vehicle because of government intervention. It's not doing what I intended it to do. So in my opinion, I think you just got to be properly informed with all the moving parts of what's going on and just do whatever's best for you and your family.
I agree.
Our dollar's worth more today or in the future. They're always going to be worth more today. So I'm going to make my money work for me today. Do your dollars make sense, honey? All right, I'm done. Sorry, I'm on that.
Is that what that says? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I like Dexter's comment. Make sure you hit the like button if you're watching on YouTube. Like,
I think you got to add the honey in there.
Oh,
okay. Miles says, can you add lump sums to the policy above your yearly premium, even if you haven't taken out any money that needs to be paid back?
Yes, up to your MEC limits. And so, Miles, if you're working with the money multiplier, just reach out to your implementation or your mapping specialist. And all you got to do is just ask the question, hey, how much extra paid up additions can I add to this policy without causing MEC status? So basically what you're asking is how much extra can I dump in without causing tax consequences in this policy? And here's another tidbit. MEC is a moving target. Each and every year gets higher and higher. So what I do is I just call into the company after I pay my annual premium and see where my MEC limit's at for those years.
It's always moving target. And we design them super efficiently. I mean, that's the majority of everything we're designing is so efficient. I know when my policy went in force, I think for the first year I could put an additional $133 in it. Like 16 cents. Right now that shifts for the next year, but the first year it's very like if we're designing these to make them efficient for your high cash value, right?
All right, and we'll do this last one, and then we'll end a little bit early so we can get Chris home on time. Freddie says he's heard of some people talk about EQRP, the Enhanced Qualified Retirement Plan, self-directed IRA. Is that different from what Horizon Trust provides?
no, it's the same thing. You can do an EQRP. It's just a different name. It's like a solo K. So same thing, just different initials, different abbreviations. Yeah, Horizon Trust definitely does those, 100%. And they do check writing and all sorts of stuff. Good question.
Well, I believe that's all, folks.
Did you hit that Facebook user one? I'm sorry. Did you guys hit that when I was texting?
It's not a question. It's just more of a comment.
And did we hit I was texting too, I'm sorry. Did we hit Freddie's question too?
Yeah, the last one, yeah, we just did.
Good.
Wow, that's actually, I've never thought about it that way for this Facebook user one. How he's saying how his IRR return, I'm reading it right. If you look at the IRR return that the match adds, it is minimum if you're average. So is that person saying that the IRR is more than what a match would be from a 401k? Will typically add around.
No, I think they're saying you'll get between 5.75 or 6, that it's going to add to that 5 to 6%.
I'm reading it. I'm just kind of reading it while talking it, but like that's really smart the way that they put that. So essentially what this person is saying is the opportunity cost is more expensive than losing out on the match. I get it. I don't think there's anything wrong with that statement at all.
And the match is a gamble too. I mean, they are matching, but we have no idea what the government's going to say the taxes are when you retire.
Well, I think that he or she is making a very good point. Like when you really boil it down to a percentage, how much a lot of people are like, oh, I get a 3% match or I get a 6% match. None of you are probably getting 6% match, but I get a 3% dollar for dollar match. But he's basically saying, yeah, but you're only adding about 1% to your average. You'd be better off, like, in the policy with the IRR, you're doing better than that. Plus you got liquidity. Plus you don't lose out on opportunity costs for investing in other things and making money a second time. Yeah, no, Truth Concepts is great. They really do have good videos. Yeah,
they
please
got
send them.
Calculators too.
Yeah, they got a lot of good stuff. He spends a lot of time creating that stuff. I really appreciate what he does.
Well,
very cool.
That's a wrap.
All right. Look at that. All the questions done. Well, folks, this was awesome. This had great questions. Hopefully our answers were suitable for what you were looking for. Some of the questions kind of didn't have a defined answer, but we'll always do our best to give you an honest and truthful answer, even if it's not the honest and truthful answer that you want. But that's all we got for you today. So thanks for joining us for another Ask Me Anything happy hour. We will see you on the next one. Thanks. Have a good night.